So now the study finds a correlation coefficient of 0.7 between self-reported work satisfaction and expectancy of the life. जिसको satisfaction है जिंदगी में, work satisfaction, वो बहुत लंबी उम्र है उसका, a long life for him. In a random sample of 5,000 corporate workers, p-value 0.01, what is the meaning of this plus 0.7 correlation coefficient? How do you interpret correlation coefficient? It means to say that there is a strong statistically significant association between work satisfaction and life expectancy because the correlation coefficient value is 0.7. Now comes, how do you interpret correlation coefficient? If the correlation coefficient value is 0, that means no correlation. Less than 0.2, very weak correlation. Less than 0.4, weak correlation. 0.4 to 0.6, moderately strong. 0.6 to 0.8 is strong correlation. 0.8 to 1, very strong correlation. 1 is a perfect correlation. And the value of the correlation constant can be between 0 to 1 is what you have to remember. इसमें p value, b value, c value, d value सब कुछ भूल जाओ. So strong negative correlation -1, strong positive +1, 0 no correlation, and anything typically 0.6 to 0.8 become strong correlation. That's all. 4 populations had correlation coefficients of 0.6. between weight and height. AIMS Medical College, PGI Medical College, Gandhi Medical College, Usmania Medical College, 4 medical colleges लिया, 4 populations लिया, उसका weight and height of the medical students में 0.6 is the correlation coefficient. Now examiner is asking a question, what is the net coefficient of correlation will be? Net, if you take all the 4 population together, what will be the net correlation coefficient? इसके लिए जरा हम correlation क्या होता है? Correlation is the relationship that is between 2 variables, like heights and weights. Correlation is sometimes also called covariation. The measure of it is correlation coefficient. Now, how do you calculate the net correlation coefficient? When multiple populations, each with individual correlation coefficient is there, how do you calculate? Can you be able to simply summate and take an average of their correlation coefficients? Individual correlation, suppose किसी का 2 है, किसी का 3 है, किसी का 4 है. Can you simply take 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 3? Average it? वैसा नहीं कर सकते. You can't average the R values. You have to calculate coefficient of determination, that is the square of the correlation coefficient, which can be averaged. So the combined correlation coefficient क्या होता? Square root of, for example, 4 populations. First वाला correlation coefficient square, R1 square plus R2 square plus R3 square plus R4 square divided by 4 populations. So divided by 4 करना पड़ता. अभी each population का कितना है? 0.6, 0.6, 0.6, 0.6. So 0.6 square plus 0.6 square plus 0.6 square plus 0.6 square, ये 4 को add करो, उसका square root divided by 4. So that become 0.36, 0.36, 0.36, 0.36. That is 4 into square root of 0.36 divided by 4. So 4 cancel हो गया, square root of 0.36, that is 0.6. So that is the reason the net correlation coefficient of all these 4 populations together is same, is what you need to remember. doctor? The p-value of a randomized control trial which is comparing one new procedure, say operation A, and a gold standard operation B. The p-value is 0.04. इसका मतलब क्या है? p-value को आप कैसे interpret करेगा? So you should know 4-5 points about p-value, doctor. The probability of a false positive conclusion, the probability, you are comparing what operation A, the new procedure, is compared with the gold standard, that is operation B. So p-value 0.04 का मतलब है the probability of false positive conclusion that operation A is better than operation B, that is this operation A is better than operation B, the false positive conclusion, the probability is 4%. इसका मतलब है the probability of the false positive conclusion is 4%, that operation A is better than operation B. Why it's called false positive? Because you are concluding operation A is better than operation B, but in truth it is not. Still you are concluding. What is the chance of committing that error? It is 4% because p-value is 0.04. So इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब है when you conduct a study, when you compare two things, you assume some null hypothesis, there is always a chance that there can be a false positive. The probability of that false positive conclusion, that you are concluding that it is true though it is not true, that is false positive. So, to conclude such a false positivity is called as p-value. बराबर? Now जरा शांति से इसको देखेंगे. p-value क्या है? p-value is the probability of committing a type 1 error. The probability of committing a type 1 error when you conduct a study and you are comparing two parameters, the probability of committing type 1 error is called p-value, probability. So when the p-value is between 0.05 to 0.01, 0.05 to 0.1, that means the probability of committing a type 1 error is 5% to 1%. If the p-value is less than 0.01, that means the probability of committing a type 1 error is less than 1%. That means it is much more statistically significant. When the p-value is less than 0.01 to 0.005, more smaller the value of the p-value, the greater is the statistical significance and lesser will be the chance of committing type 1 error. समझ में आ गई ना? So p-value type 1, p-value type 1, type 1 error को बोलते हैं alpha error. That's what you should remember. बराबर? Now, that is the reason the other options are wrong. Type 2 error is small. No, it doesn't talk about type 2 error, it talks about type 1 error. It doesn't talk about false negatives, it talks about false positives. False positives. And the power of the study is not dependent on, yesterday only we discussed what is power. Power is 1 minus beta error. 1 minus beta error. Beta error is about false negatives. Alpha error is about false positives. So it doesn't talk about power, it doesn't talk about false negatives, it doesn't talk about type 2, it talks about type 1 error and false positives. The p-value. Barabar? Very good.